we're going to be delving into these little plug-and-play units. Now, if you don't know what those are, they're these little units that you just plug into your TV and you're good to go. They go to your TV using composite video, which not all TVs have, so if your TV doesn't have any RCA inputs, you can easily just get one of these little composite to HDMI devices. Many plug-and-play units were made by companies like Jakks Pacific, Radica, Majesco, and AtGames. But for this video, we're just going to focus on these 4 units. We'll go ahead and start with the Namco Arcade Classics plug-and-play from 2003. And as you can see, it looks really nice. I like it. There's some really nice artwork on the sides that shows some of the games that are included, like Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Rally X, and so on. It has a really nice joystick, which works really well. It also has micro switches in it, which aren't very audible in real life, but are pretty audible on camera. It's also a 4-way joystick, which makes controlling games like Pac-Man pretty easy to control. It also has a metal shaft on it, like a real arcade joystick. Fire button works pretty good too. It feels pretty good. And, yep, that's the controller. So in this system, we have 5 games. We have Pac-Man, as you'd expect, Galaxian, Rally X, Dig Dug, and Bosconian. While the graphics and gameplay are mostly faithful to the original arcade, the sound and music just aren't the same. Here, take a listen. But you see, this is one of Jakks Pacific's earlier units, so they didn't have the technology for accurate sound. That being said, the sounds in this unit are still pretty good. Though something weird I noticed is the music they use for Rally X. They use the new Rally X music. Take a listen. Now, the new Rally X music is definitely catchier than the original music, but I still find that kind of weird. I also noticed that the AI in Pac-Man is noticeably odd. But other than those flaws, this plug-and-play is a classic and is really fun to play, even to this day. Hey, that rhymed. Next up, we have the Ms. Pac-Man plug-and-play, also by Jakks Pacific, released in 2004. As you can see, it looks extremely nice, probably even nicer than the original plug-and-play. I like it. It has a really nice joystick, which has micro switches in it. Unfortunately, it's an 8-way joystick, which works pretty well for games like Xevious, but for games like Pac-Man, not as good. That being said, it does work. Buttons feel pretty nice too. And another great feature that this joystick has is that it twists. And it works really well, too. And, yep, that's the controller for the Ms. Pac-Man plug-and-play. In this system, we also have 5 games. Ms. Pac-Man, Galaga, Nappy, Xevious, and Pole Position, which uses the twist control, which works much better than using a standard joystick. This unit is an improvement over the original unit because not only are the graphics and gameplay faithful to the original, but the sound quality is amazing. Now, it's not perfect. There are some sound mistakes here and there, like in Xevious, where it's pitched down by 12 semitones. Also, I mentioned earlier that this unit uses an 8-way joystick, so controlling Ms. Pac-Man isn't as easy as with a 4-way stick. There were some instances where I wanted to go in a direction, but it went a different direction instead. Now, the controls aren't terrible, they're just not as good. But despite these flaws, this unit is a massive improvement over the original. Unfortunately, we won't be getting any more re-releases of Ms. Pac-Man for a while because... AtGames. There's also a rarer version of this unit which uses these little cartridge things called game keys. You'd plug them into the back of the unit to add more games. Unfortunately, the game keys did not sell very well, so they were discontinued, but I do plan on getting the game key version one day. Next up, we have the Frogger plug-and-play, which was originally released in 2004 by a company called Majesco, and re-released in 2016 by a company called MSI Entertainment. Now, if you don't know who MSI Entertainment is, they're a crappy company who make crappy plug-and-plays. But this plug-and-play is actually good. It might be their only good plug-and-play that they made. The joystick feels kind of stiff, but it responds pretty good. There's no micro switches in it, which is kind of a minus. But it does feel better than some of their other joysticks, that's for sure. I got a couple of buttons, which you don't really need much for games like Frogger. You can use them to go up if you want. And you got a start button right here. And, yep, it's just a basic Frogger plug-and-play with only one game on it. When I said this unit only had one game, I wasn't kidding. This is the only game that's on here, Frogger. It's not the arcade version either, but rather an NES recreation. So this might be the closest we're ever gonna get to Frogger being on the NES. The graphics and gameplay are almost exactly like the arcade version, but with a few inaccuracies, like for example, the flies appear and disappear too fast. The sounds are also not very accurate either. Listen to this. Notice that most of the sounds are just generic Famiclone sounds. Here's an interesting little fact. The music used here is actually a recomposition of the Frogger theme from Konami Arcade Advanced for the GBA. Pretty interesting, huh? Anyways, despite it only having one game with inaccurate sounds, this is actually a pretty decent plug-and-play. Unfortunately, MSI re-released it again with the same unoriginal stolen casing they used for all of their products. Stolen straight from Jakks Pacific's retro arcade plug-and-plays. So if you want to buy a Frogger plug-and-play, you're better off buying the original Majesco version, which I might get soon just for the sake of it. And, saving the best for last, we have the Pac-Man Retro Arcade plug-and-play, released in 2009 by Jakks Pacific. And as you can see, it looks really awesome. It looks almost exactly like a real arcade control panel, even though it's obviously not. It has some really nice artwork on the sides. It has a really nice menu button, which lights up like a real coin door. That's awesome. The joystick does have micro switches in it. And it's a 4-way joystick, which works really well for games like Pac-Man. Buttons have micro switches in them too, and they work really well. And, just like the Ms. Pac-Man plug-and-play, the joystick twists for pole position. And, yep, that's the controller for my favorite plug-and-play of all time. In this system, we have 12 games. Pac-Man, obviously, Pac-Man Plus, Super Pac-Man, Pac-and-Pow, Mappy, Dig Dug, Pole Position, Bosconian, Xevious, Galaxian, Galaga, and New Rally X. The graphics, gameplay, and sound quality are amazing, and it has the most games, thus making this one my favorite plug-and-play of all time. I also really like how they changed the music for New Rally X. Listen. If I'm gonna be honest, I like this music more than the original. Also, I said earlier that this unit uses a 4-way joystick, which works extremely well for most of the games on here, but games like Bosconian and Xevious, it's really hard to go diagonal. Now, it is possible, but it's just really hard. Another problem I have with this unit is that the audio is too quiet, so I have to turn my TV up a lot, and I have to turn it down when I'm done. But despite these flaws, this is definitely my favorite plug-and-play of all time. And there you have it, 4 plug-and-play systems. But I have a few more than this, which I might take a look at in another video. So what do you think of these units, and which unit do you like the most that I've taken a look at? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, thanks for watching!